For many people, the horror of an accident is made worse by the nightmare of fire. Fortunately, it's a rare event, and once the flames are out, the danger should be over. But in some cases, that's not so. This notice has been circulating around police stations and garages across the country. It claims a burnt-out vehicle could contain a highly corrosive acid, which if it gets on the skin, cannot be removed. The only treatment is amputation.
So what's behind the scare? Well, this notice may look somewhat unofficial to say the least of it, but it is true. The warning first came from the Institute of Vehicle Recovery. And this is the problem. These are some of the sorts of components in your car that are made of a material containing fluorine. Now, in a fire, that can turn into hydrofluoric acid. And if you want to know what kind of properties that stuff has, well, I can tell you it's just about the only chemical known to dissolve glass. Get it on your hands and it doesn't feel like an acid, but it gets absorbed and can eat away the calcium in the bones, hence the amputation problem. So what about the risk? Well, these components are fairly small and are normally surrounded by metal in the engine or gearbox, so you wouldn't come across much of the stuff. Except, of course, that these days there are a lot more cars being burnt out by young car thieves after their escapades. This BMW, for example, was brought in here just last week after being burnt out in a wood. Now, such a wreck can so easily become a tempting playground for children who might just touch some of the charred, blackened remains, which look messy but hardly dangerous. The professionals, the police, firemen, car breakers, are advised always to use gloves. For amateurs, the best course of action is don't touch. There's another warning on this notice that's also relevant to amateurs, as Roy Bolton discovered. The electronic ignition on his Triumph for claim failed. Knowing a little bit about the electronics inside the module, he prized it open to see if he could repair it. The problem here is that some of these modules contain beryllium and cerium compounds, and they're carcinogenic if they get in contact with your skin. Now, of course, Roy Bolton knew nothing about that until he saw the warning notice on the wall of his local garage in Wrexham. And then he wrote to us on Top Gear to find out whether the risk was real or not. The answer is yes. The risk is real, but it's very remote. Some of these modules do contain carcinogens, so don't try to fix them yourself. And if they are damaged by accident or by fire, once again, the best advice is leave well alone.